Article 110.26c of the National Electrical Code states that doors shall not be permitted to swing into the working space of electrical equipment, or be so located as to obstruct access to electrical equipment. The National Electrical Code does not specifically allow a door from an electrical room to swing into another room, such as a telephone room. However, this does not mean it is prohibited. It's crucial to consider additional factors. Life safety is paramount. The primary purpose of an egress from an electrical room is to provide a means of escape in an emergency. Swinging the door into another room may obstruct access to a safe exit. NFPA 101, the Life Safety Code, may have additional requirements for egress from hazardous areas, including electrical rooms. Consult NFPA 101 for specific guidance. Local building codes may have additional regulations regarding means of egress from electrical rooms. Consider installing a double swinging door that can be opened into either room. If a single swinging door is necessary, ensure it swings out of the electrical room into a safe area. Install panic hardware on the door to allow for quick egress. Consult with a qualified electrician and fire protection engineer to determine the most appropriate solution for your specific facility. In summary, based on the information provided, the National Electrical Code does not specifically prohibit a door from an electrical room to swing into another room. However, it is important to consider life safety, compliance with other codes, and consult with professionals to ensure the safety of occupants in an emergency. When evaluating the placement and swing of a door in an electrical room, several code sections and safety standards come into play. While the National Electrical Code provides guidelines, other codes and best practices further refine the requirements to ensure personnel safety and efficient egress. The National Electrical Code addresses workspace requirements around electrical equipment to provide adequate space for safe operation and maintenance. Section 110.26 outlines minimum depth of working space, widths, and heights of access. Doors must not impede these clearances. The specific clearance requirements vary based on voltage levels. For instance, equipment operating at 150 volts to ground requires a minimum clear distance of 3 feet, while higher voltage equipment, such as that operating at 600 volts, demands even greater clearances. The width of the working space should be at least 30 inches wide, or the width of the equipment, whichever is greater. The height of the working space needs to be at least 6 feet 6 inches for the height of the equipment, whichever is greater. Furthermore, Section 110.26c2 stipulates that the entrance to the working space should provide adequate access and egress. Doors shall not swing into the required working space. This ensures that personnel can safely enter and exit the area without being obstructed by the door itself. Section 110.33 addresses the requirements for spaces containing equipment operating at over 600 volts nominal. These spaces must be accessible only to qualified persons and must comply with specific entrance and workspace requirements. Doors in these areas must be marked with conspicuous warning signs indicating the voltage level and the potential hazards. NFPA 101, the Life Safety Code, offers comprehensive guidelines for means of egress, especially crucial in hazardous areas. Chapter 7 of NFPA 101 details the general requirements for means of egress, including the number, size, and arrangement of exits. The means of egress must provide a clear and unobstructed path to a public way. This includes doorways, corridors, stairs, and ramps. The capacity of means of egress must be sufficient for the occupant load. The occupant load factor determines the number of people expected to occupy a space. NFPA 101 also addresses the specific requirements for high-hazard areas such as electrical rooms. These areas may require additional protection measures such as fire-rated doors, smoke detectors, and automatic sprinkler systems. The Americans with Disabilities Act sets accessibility standards for buildings and facilities, including electrical rooms. These standards ensure that individuals with disabilities can safely access and egress these spaces. The Americans with Disabilities Act accessibility guidelines specify requirements for door widths, maneuvering clearances, and hardware. Doorways should have a minimum clear width of 32 inches when the door is open 90 degrees. Clear floor space must be provided on both sides of the door to allow wheelchair users to maneuver. Door hardware, such as handles and latches, must be easy to operate with one hand and without tight grasping, pinching, or twisting. Local building codes often incorporate and may amend the requirements outlined in the National Electrical Code, NFPA 101, and the Americans with Disabilities Act Accessibility Guidelines. It is vital to consult local codes to ensure full compliance with all applicable regulations. Local jurisdictions may have specific requirements for fire-rated doors, emergency lighting, and signage in electrical rooms. They might also have more stringent regulations for egress pathways in high-occupancy buildings or critical facilities. When assessing the door swing, consider the direction in which the door opens to avoid obstructing the required working space or egress path. Evaluate the available space outside the electrical room to ensure that the door can swing fully open without impeding access to corridors or other equipment. In situations where space is limited, consider using a double-acting door that can swing in both directions, or a sliding door that does not require swing clearance. Panic hardware is essential for doors that serve as a required means of egress from electrical rooms. Panic hardware allows occupants to quickly and easily open the door in an emergency without requiring knowledge of how the locking mechanism works. Panic hardware must comply with specific standards such as ANSI A156.3, which outlines the performance and testing requirements for panic exit devices. Install clear and visible signage to identify the electrical room and provide directions to the nearest exit. Signage should comply with applicable standards such as ANSI 535.1, which specifies the design and use of safety signs and colors. Ensure that the signage is properly illuminated and can be easily seen in both normal and emergency lighting conditions. Regular inspections and maintenance of doors and hardware are essential to ensure their proper operation and compliance with safety standards. Doors should be inspected for damage, such as cracks, dents, or loose hardware. Hardware should be lubricated and adjusted as needed to ensure smooth operation. Any deficiencies should be promptly repaired or replaced. Consulting with qualified professionals such as licensed electricians, fire protection engineers, and building code officials is highly recommended to ensure full compliance with all applicable codes and standards. These professionals can provide valuable expertise in assessing the specific requirements for your facility and developing solutions that meet your needs. They can also assist with the preparation of documentation and submittals to demonstrate compliance with regulatory requirements. Keep detailed records of all inspections, maintenance, and repairs performed on doors and hardware in electrical rooms. These records can be valuable in demonstrating compliance with regulatory requirements and in identifying potential safety issues. Maintain records of all consultations with qualified professionals and any recommendations or solutions they provide. It is also a good practice to provide training to employees who work in or around electrical rooms on the proper use of doors and hardware, as well as emergency procedures. Training should cover topics such as the importance of keeping doors clear of obstructions, how to operate panic hardware, and what to do in the event of a fire or other emergency. It is essential to integrate the door and egress considerations into the overall electrical safety program for the facility. This includes developing written procedures, conducting regular safety audits, and providing ongoing training to employees. The electrical safety program should address all potential hazards associated with electrical equipment, including the risk of arc flash and electrocution. Emergency lighting should be provided in electrical rooms to ensure adequate visibility during power outages or other emergency situations. Emergency lighting should comply with applicable standards such as NFPA 101 and the International Building Code. The emergency lighting system should be tested regularly to ensure its proper operation. Fire-rated doors are often required in electrical rooms to help contain fires and prevent their spread to other areas of the building. Fire-rated doors must comply with specific standards such as NFPA 80, which outlines the requirements for fire doors and fire windows. Fire rating of the door should be appropriate for the hazard level of the electrical room. In summary, determining whether a door from an electrical room swinging into another room, such as a telephone room, is permissible involves several considerations. While the National Electrical Code does not explicitly prohibit this configuration, other codes and safety standards provide additional guidance. Life safety is paramount, and the means of egress must provide a clear and unobstructed path to a safe exit. In FBA 101, the Life Safety Code offers comprehensive guidelines for means of egress, and local building codes may have additional regulations. Consulting with qualified professionals, such as licensed electricians, fire protection engineers, and building code officials, is essential to ensure full compliance with all applicable codes and standards. By carefully considering all of these factors, you can ensure the safety of occupants in an emergency and maintain compliance with regulatory requirements.